Good morning, South Holland. I know it's early for lunch, but I had to start this one early because, well, you'll see. There's cooling time that's involved, and I wanted to make sure that I give myself way enough time for that. This recipe today comes courtesy of my mom, and she got it. So, friends, I'm going to tell you something that's going to surprise you right now. Your girl was on the math team in junior high. I'm going to just give you a second to stop laughing before I go on. In my junior high math team, we went to one competition at Mount Assisi High School, and afterward, and I could be remembering this wrong, I'm sure that my mother will show up in the comments to tell the story correctly if I'm misremembering it. I was like 12 at the time, so it's entirely possible that I would not remember how a recipe came to us. But one of my classmates, Julie Brown, had a dad who made like his famous taco salad and brought it with. And my mother loved it so much that she asked for the recipe. And that was in like 1987, and my mom and dad have been eating this taco salad since. I'm sharing it with you today because, and I know this is going to be a surprise too, the weather is getting warmer in Chicago. Snow in April this week, but it really is. And sometimes it's nice to have a little make-ahead, cool recipe in your back pocket for your, for lunch or for dinner. So what I'm starting with is I am sauteing an onion. I am a gigantic wimp when it comes to onions, so I use frozen chopped onions, and I just use a cup because that's about equivalent. A cup of onions that are diced, and this is 1.5 pounds of 85% lean ground beef that I am sauteing together. I did not do the baking soda trick from our previous episode. I completely forgot about it until it was too late. So I'm just browning this off. The last time we used ground beef together, friends, it didn't super matter if the beef was cooked all the way through because it was going to be used in a recipe that went into the oven and cooked further, so it finished cooking in the oven. This does not. It must be cooked all the way through on the stovetop before it comes off the oven. We are gonna eat this the way it, like essentially the way it is, so it's gotta be cooked all the way. And I'm just about there right now. And as soon as I am, let me really quick drain off this ground beef because it's 85%. It's gonna throw a little bit of liquid, and the onions also have a lot of water in them, so you're gonna want to do that. Pour off, like I said, pour off some of the liquid. And I need a spoon for just a hot second. I have a spoon, I don't have a spoon. I'm using that. I don't have a lid for the skillet, so I am not able to like do my normal technique of just pressing the lid against the skillet to hold the meat in. All right. All right. So this is drained off. And I'm just going to add in a regular old packet Mr. Brown's recipe. Mr. Brown's recipe does not call for taco seasoning. However, why not? It's just a regular taco seasoning. Whatever you like. If you make your own taco seasoning blend, use that instead. About 2 tablespoons or so for this amount of beef. I'm going to pull this off the heat because it's done cooking. And I'm going to mix this in. I kind of feel like, why not season something if you have an opportunity to season it? So I'm going with just a regular old taco seasoning blend. And then I need this to cool all the way through. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to use a sheet pan. And I'm going to line it with foil. And spread the meat out on the sheet pan and throw it in the fridge to get it to cool down more quickly. It doesn't it doesn't need to be cold necessarily. It just needs to not be hot. And of course, my roll of, my roll of foil is not being cooperative because that's the way my programs work. So yeah, I'm gonna spread out my meat. I'm just lining this with foil to make the cleanup easier. Here's to washing as few pans as possible. Just like that. And then I'm going to spread out my meat. Let it cool in the fridge. I'm going to come back in about a half hour, see how it's done, and pick right up with the recipe. So I'll see you back in about a half hour, South Helen. Hey, it's been a half hour, and the fridge smells like taco meat, because essentially we made taco meat, and which is, is that a problem for your whole kitchen and your fridge to smell like tacos? I have never found it to be that way. So it's sitting here on the tray, ready to go into our bowl when we are ready for it. I have let me double check. See, I've got the handwritten by Mr. Brown recipe from my mom. Calls for a head of lettuce. I got a head of iceberg. This is a salad with meat and cheese and chips and stuff in it. So I wanted to choose something super hearty and super kind of easy and something that's going to stay crisp, especially if you're making this for like picnic food. It's actually like there's cheese in it, but like there's not like mayonnaise or anything that's going to spoil if it sits out on like at room temperature for a long time. And I wanted a lettuce that would stand up to that. Romaine would be great for this too. I'm just using a head of iceberg. And I'm going to try the restaurant trick to get the knob out of the bottom, to the root of it, is to slam it down. And then allegedly you should be able to just pull it right out. There you go. I don't want to waste a ton of it. And then I'm just going to cut this head of lettuce in half and then shred it up. I'm not making the shreds too fine, as you can see. I'm thinking about the size of a fork, and I'm not making things that are too much bigger than that. You can't see anything I'm doing. Lordy be, South Holland. All right. I suppose I could have just bought a bag of lettuce for this, but I wasn't sure also how that translated, like, if you buy a bag of like, iceberg lettuce from the produce case, I wasn't sure how close to a head that was, so I just bought a head of lettuce. I suppose if you really want to make your life easy, you could just buy a bag of lettuce, or two, depending on how much of this you're making. Live your life. I'm not here to tell you how to eat your salad, because it won't surprise you to note that I have some strangeness in my own salad proclivities. So, like, when I eat this, I'm going to put hot sauce on it, because that's who I am as a person. I'm going to dig around in the bowl of lettuce and anything that is especially, like, sometimes the parts of the lettuce that were closest to the core can be really tough. So I might pull some of that out. Some of these really tough pieces of lettuce. But again, trying not to be wasteful. I'm trying to keep some of that really crunchy stuff in there for a good texture. All right, so I've got my head of lettuce. The next thing is a bag of shredded cheddar cheese. I didn't get cheddar, I got the blend of cheeses. I just think it's more interesting, tastes a little bit better. If you want to do just cheddar, do just cheddar. If you want to do pepper jack, do that. Whatever kind of taco adjacent cheese is delicious to you, do that thing. Here's what I wouldn't do. I wouldn't get something that they sell what they call taco cheese that already has taco seasoning in it. I would not get that. There is such a thing as over-seasoned food, and you don't want to do that. I also got the finely shredded stuff so that it kind of mixed into the salad a little bit better. And I'm just going to dump this whole bag of cheese in. If you had a brick of cheese that you were grating, it would be an entire brick of cheese. Well, about 2 cups. That's a lie. The recipe calls for 3 tomatoes. The ones that looked best at the store this morning were these little Roma tomatoes. They're the ones that looked kind of the brightest red, and they smelled the most like tomatoes. It's April. We're not getting good tomatoes in Chicago yet. But these are also really small, so I got 4 of them. And I'm just going to, ow, nuts, core these tomatoes, each of them, quarter them lengthwise like that, and then chop them up into pieces. And I'm already making a mess because that is who I am as a person. Again, nobody who knows me is going to be surprised by that fact. And this is all like just, I washed it off and I'm chopping it right into the salad. If you want to take out the seeds, you can. If you don't, that is fine too. It's all about what you prefer. If it were January and it were really hard to get fresh tomatoes in Chicago stores, because it can be, you could make this salad with a can of petite diced tomatoes, as long as they're packed in their own juices. Make sure that they're not packed in tomato puree. They'll taste a little bit fresher if you get the ones that are packed in natural juice. Again, not ideal, but if you were like dying for a taco salad, and that was the best you could get your hands on. It's not really not a bad substitution to make. At my house, we like the ones that are fire roasted. They just seem to have kind of more flavor than the regular ones. This is the end of my third tomato. I'm cutting these into a rough chop. Again, sort of bite-sized pieces. You might think they're too big, and you want to cut them smaller, and that is fine too. There's no, like, whatever looks good to you, truly. If you wanted to make your lettuce more finely shredded, go for it. And then last but not least, done with my tomato. Throw that into the sink. And let me grab a spatula. Just use the same spatula I used before. And kind of give the meat a toss. Again, it's pretty cool because it was in the fridge for a half hour, spread out in like a thin layer on the sheet. So I just gave it a toss with my spatula so that I could pick up the whole foil and dump it into the bag like that. Makes that job way neater. And then I'm looking for something. Ooh, that is awful sound. Remind me to ask for some WD-40. And then the last thing I'm going to do is, it calls for a 16-ounce bag. Oh, I lied. A package of taco chips. It just says a package of taco chips. So this recipe came into our lives in my family in 1986, so I bought the bag of Doritos that looks like it's from 1986. I don't think it is from 1986. I think it's probably pretty fresh. What I'm going to do is crush about half of these. Crush them all. I'm going to crush them all. I'm going to put half the bag in, and then I'm going to leave the other half to the side so that if my eaters want more taco chips, they can just put more taco chips on there. If they're good with what's already there, then they're good with what's already there. So just I don't need to crush them to like dust or anything. Notice I still have a big part of the bag that's left in there. And what I'm actually going to do is cut the top of this off and leave it out for serving. And then according to Mr. Brown's recipe, you dump in a whole bottle of Catalina salad dressing. This is not authentic, my friends. No self-respecting Mexican is putting Catalina salad dressing in a taco salad. They are better than that as a people. And I know that I'm having people shaking their heads at me with the, like, Lord, the Catalina dressing in a taco salad. The whole idea is that it's like that sweet, spicy, umami from the meat contrast. What I'm going to do is I'm not gonna put a whole bottle in here. I'm gonna put part of it in here and toss it up just to kind of get it all coated. And then I'm gonna serve the rest on the side with, I'll put hot sauce out because that's who I am as a person. If people want extra dressing, they can do extra dressing, that's cool. But I also have some spicier, like more, I don't know, like Southwest Ranch dressing, if people are about that life. Like I said, it's not authentic. It's not. But it's tasty, and that's all it needs to be. And then I'll pop this back in the oven, don't put this in the oven. I'm gonna put this back in the fridge until it's lunchtime. And it's good to just, like, I'll cover it, and it'll just hang out there until people are ready to eat. And then they can come down and grab themselves a bowl. I'll let you know how that goes. I'll let you know how South Holland Public Library responded. If you make this, definitely let us know how you did. I'm sure that my mom would love to hear how you liked the taco salad that she's been making for like 35 years. Oh my word, it's really been like 35 years almost. Whew. Time flies, South Holland. I'm gonna pour this dressing in, I'm gonna mix it up, and I will see you for lunch next week. Have a great one.